Ordinarily in this space, we talk about the war development, the progress on the ground, the things that are happening diplomatically, and we talk about the pros and cons of various forces and how things may go out. And we give you a lot of tactical information, et cetera. We're going to change course a little bit today. I want to look at a different aspect of this because I think it is really, really important, because ultimately wars are about what they produce, good or ill, and that can underscore when a war is worth fighting and when a war is not worth fighting. When you're choosing to fight, any nation, every nation, no matter when in history, should focus on what is the cost to me if I fight? What is the cost to me if I don't fight? If I fight, do I have the resources? Can I set an objective? Whatever I may want to do I have the resources? Does the other side have enough resources to prevent me from getting there? What is the probability of outcome? And no matter how you do the calculations, once you do the end result, then that should give you your answer. If there's a good chance that your end state could be better than your existing state before you chose war, then it might be worth it. If someone is going to attack you, if someone is in the process of attacking you, the absolute right course of action could be, we're going to fight back because we can't endure the circumstances that exist right now. And even though the cost could be high, we're going to pursue it because we have a shot to succeed and the end result could be better. Great example, 1956 Hungary. The Soviet Union sent a bunch of tanks and attacked into the country. They had a choice to make. Should we fight now in terms of with their national military and use all the instruments of national power and fight against the Soviet Union, or should they not fight? Now, no one wants to be invaded. No one wants to have their security and their freedoms taken away. But when they calculated, their government calculated, to fight would have been profoundly worse on the other side than if they had fought in 1956. They ended up choosing not to. And so the Soviet Union cracked down. They succeeded in achieving, the Soviets achieved their political objective. And it was some number of decades before eventually the Hungarian people did get their independence and freedom. And so no one else had to pay this huge price. And so for them, that was the right calculation. And I think history proves that correct. So in that case, if the certain situation comes up now to where, okay, but if you fight and you have a chance to win, maybe we can go and do that. But for the United States, I want to specifically look at with all those categorical situations and apply them to the U.S. right now in relation to the Israel's decisions to engage in a 7-front war. We have to decide for ourselves. Israel has to decide for itself what to do, what the calculations are, what the projected end state is going to be, and all of that goes into it. I'm going to look at a specific issue today that the United States should very much put at the forefront of its calculation of whether we should continue to support Israel in its chosen course. And that is, what is our reputation and credibility on the world stage? What are our values? And what is the cost to the weakest and the most vulnerable constituency in this war? And that is on the children. Now, you may recall, and now let me put this up on the screen here. Last month, there was a report that several U.S. government agencies, this is not any kind of independent anything else or anybody that's slanted against Israel, this is the U.S. government agencies, found conclusively that Israel had blocked aid to Gaza, that the people that were supposed to get aid that we were providing were being blocked by Israel against international law, against American law. And so they were basically trying to starve out the population or make life so miserable for them that they may want to leave. Whatever the course was, it was confirmed that that was the case. Blinken got the report, read it, ignored it, pretended it didn't happen. Now that's what he said a month ago. Now here a couple of days ago, he was interviewed, and they asked him specifically about the children and about American law. Now, this is where we get to a problem between what we say and what we do. And let me show you how that went. And then we're going to talk about this on the backside. But just understand that things are not going to be the way that he seems to think they are.
There's also obviously deep concern that we share about the plight of children, women, and men in Gaza, who for now a year have been caught in a terrible crossfire of Hamas's instigation. And for us, this has been a constant area of emphasis, trying to make sure that they're getting the assistance that they desperately need. And we're intensely focused on that question now. And I have real concern about the inadequacy of the assistance that's getting to them. This is particularly true in the north, but not exclusively in the north. So we've been very directly engaged with Israel on the imperative of addressing the humanitarian needs of people in Gaza. And when it comes to the law, I'll simply repeat what I've said all along. We will apply the law. I have a continuous obligation to ensure that assistance we're providing is done in accordance with the law, whether it's the Leahy law, whether it's international humanitarian law, whether it's other things that we're responsible for. And I've also made clear, and we've made clear that that's an ongoing responsibility and one that I take very seriously.
One that you take very seriously. One wonders, just how serious do you take that? Because we now know, and I've been talking to you for a while, that there are a lot of reports, very credible reports, and you're going to see one of them firsthand in just a second here, that in fact, not only is Israel not taking care of civilians, not only are they continuing to block aid that we're sending into the Gaza Strip, Israel is actually targeting, not collateral damage, but targeting children. Now, I'm going to show you this. Well, actually, I already have shown you this before, but just kind of as a precursor here. This is something that was in the New York Times a couple of days ago, where 65 doctors and nurses and paramedics from the West that went to the Gaza Strip and volunteered their time to serve on the ground from all over the Gaza Strip said that they saw many times where the children had been specifically attacked. And one of them said, but of the many things that stood out about working in a hospital in Gaza, one got to me. Nearly every day I was there, I saw a young child who had been shot in the head or the chest, virtually all of whom went on to die, 13 in total. When this doctor got back, this was from March and April of this year. When he got back, he started coordinating with others who had gone and started finding out similar things. And as you see from that graphic on the screen there, 44 of the doctors and nurses he had talked to saw multiple cases of preteen children who had been shot in the head or in the chest. Now, that's one report. Now I'm going to show you something that was on MSNBC a couple of days ago that talks to a doctor who was on the ground. This is American media. This is an American doctor who's going to tell you what he firsthand witnessed. Now, I'm going to tell you the description he gives here is going to be a little bit hard to watch, but it's something that you need to watch. It's something that you need to see, because when we want to know, is this a war that the Americans should be fighting? Is this a war that we should be sending our bombs and missiles to? Do we want to support this kind of activity? Watch this.
That you made in this letter to Biden and Harris, that every one of you who worked in an emergency room, intensive care, or surgical setting treated children with shots to the head and chest on a regular basis. We've heard accounts like this, of course, from other doctors who volunteered in Gaza, but I wanted to ask you specifically about your own experience. Tell us about what it is that you saw that made you believe these young children were targeted with shots to the head and the chest.
Well, first of all, everybody that was with our team has vast experience with high-velocity bullet wounds. And there's a distinct difference between a pistol round and a high-velocity bullet wound. We had children that were hit with such high-velocity bullet wounds, exactly where I would put my stethoscope. And when we rolled them over, the entire chest cavity is missing from them. Everything between their shoulder blades, their spinal cord, their lungs, their hearts is never even brought into the operating room. And then they were shot perfectly in their temple, and their brains are missing. No child gets shot twice by mistake by a sniper. One child was ripped out of his father's hand as he was walking them. He went looking for them. 10 meters away, he found his child. And as he looked over for him, he was shot the second time in the head. He didn't even know he was shot in the chest first, but he saw the head hit. And then he was brought to our ER.
All right, Dr.
That is very, very disturbing. And let me just tell you from a strictly military perspective, when you see that much of the chest cavity gone, what that tells you is that it was a high-powered sniper rifle, not even just a standard AR-15 type weapon that the normal foot soldiers have in any army. That is a specific sniper rifle, which means that it's not collateral damage. It's not an accident. It was targeted 100%, 100%, nothing less. So we have to come to grips with this. Is the U.S. willing to continue to say, you know what? We don't care about human rights. We don't care about morality. We don't care about anything else. All we care about is Israel can do whatever it wants. Because let me assure you, if Israel is willing to take this kind of action, if they're willing to stop aid to go into people who were 100% required for their daily assistance and sustenance on foreign aid because Israel has systematically destroyed everything else in the Gaza Strip, there's nothing they won't do. There is no length they won't go to destroy all of their enemies. And if you think that, okay, a two-state solution, maybe sometimes distant future, but first we have to get security in there. And as many American commentators have been claiming lately, well, you know, we want a good situation for the Palestinian people. You saw, I put on here a couple of days ago, David Petraeus was saying, you know what, we need to get to a place where you have peace and cooperation and security between the Arabs and the Israelis. And that can happen in the future. That's not what Israel wants, friends. Understand this. They genuinely do want to get rid of all of the Palestinians, all 5 million of them from the Gaza Strip and from the West Bank. That's what they want. That's what they're looking to do. And if we keep harboring these fictions that they don't, because in our minds we can't get there. We like, no, nobody would do that. So I know that's what people say. Those are the enemies of Israel. They're just trying to tar them and say this bad stuff. But folks, you're seeing it with your own eyes. With people who are on the ground there. Not just a report. Not just some random thing. That's the MSNBC. This is the New York Times that's putting this stuff out. This is coming from people all over the United States and Europe. There was other videos I could have shown you this morning, but they say the same thing. This is happening. And the question is now then, Israel has gone into southern Lebanon. And now then there's more death and destruction. And, you know, it's ironic. We talk all the time about, for example, how Russia will attack a city in Ukraine and there'll be an apartment building hit. And we always say, you know, they're specifically targeting civilians, you know, and they're going after civilian infrastructure, et cetera. Or on October 7th itself of last year, when these Hamas terrorists came in, they specifically killed civilians and they went into these kibbutzim and several other things. You know, they're just civilian targets. And we just rightly regard with horror when that happens. And yet all of these scenes that we keep seeing, especially from Beirut and continuing, even this very morning, there's again another strike that killed 22 people in the Gaza Strip. From an airstrike. It hasn't slowed down. It's just not on the headlines as much anymore. And just all these shots into Lebanon, they keep claiming, well, there's, you know, collateral damage. Folks, that's going after civil infrastructure. It's just wiping out parts of a capital city, just relentless bombardment, and it's all in civilian areas. And you just can't comfort yourself by saying, oh, well, there was some terrorists underneath here. How do you know that? Because Israel said it? We know there's so many things that they continue to say over and over that they claim were true that we know for sure aren't. In fact, let's see. I might have it handy on my screen. Give me just 1 second. Yeah, I'm gonna show you a bit of a video here that was on LBC Radio from Sippy. I can't remember her last name at the moment. It'll be on the screen there. Let me pull this up here because she's going to basically just completely claim that what I just showed you and what people are telling you is not true. Watch this.
How are these Palestinians supposed to defend themselves when not only are the settlers attacking them, but IDF soldiers are actually watching on and encouraging them and egging them on and even snipering kids with precision shots into their heads?
Is that true? Those are very hard accusations that have no base as a matter of fact, because
Save the Children have reported it, have had Human Rights Watch, have had Amnesty International. in their Crossing Thresholds report. There are multiple reports from multiple NGOs and Israeli soldiers admitting to it live on TV with Matt Price and their colleague on Channel 4 News.
I'm sure you're taking your information from sources you believe are reliable, but all I can tell you is what. No, I want to tell you what I know. What I know is that in the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria, the way we call it, there has been increase of terrorism in Jenin. Jenin has become a huge terror hub. We are in a point where those terror hubs are threatening our people. I completely agree that if someone is committing a crime, he should be taken to court and pay the price for it, but definitely not familiar with any fact about killing children. No one is interested in killing innocent children.
But it is a fact that there has been violence against Palestinians by illegal settlers.
And it can just continues to go on from there. And so you see here, just there, this is an Israeli ambassador just flatly denying it. No, there's no point in fact in that. And you see the caller on LBC radio was again trying to say the same thing. No, it is there. He saw live on TV Israeli soldiers who were admitting to it. What I just showed you on US TV. And yet you see them just denying it. But it keeps happening. One or two, you can sometimes in the horrors of war, one of the reasons why I hate and despise war so much, even though I fought in it. In fact, that's part of the reason, because I fought in it. I know how wars work and why I despise them so much. And they should only be used in the absolute last case of resort when your life is physically at risk. Only then is war appropriate. And then it should be, that's why we have militaries, because if you don't have it, then there could be chaos. But in not just as an instrument of policy, I want this outcome, so I'm just going to use military force to get it. That is not what it's for. And then here is the problem with that. You see the weakest of the society of humanity is paying the price for this. The entire civil population of Gaza, now than the population in Lebanon, all throughout the country with all these airstrikes, they are utterly powerless, all of them, to do anything about it. Israel knows this. This is part of their plan. And that's why I say you can have one or two rogue soldiers here. We've had some in Afghanistan that we found out were doing horrible things, and we brought them to justice, and they paid a price for it. But when you see something like this, that all of these doctors throughout this territory and throughout months continue to see targeted assassinations of children, it's a policy. I know that's hard to hear. And I know you don't want to believe it. I know for any just humanity-loving person, and especially if you've grown up your whole life seeing that Israel is this beacon of democracy in the Middle East, which is what they've always been called, that's their only frame of reference. And to hear now then something like it's completely opposite of that, it's hard to get your mind around it. And I get that. I do understand it. But folks, now then we're well over a year, and there's mountains of evidence that these things are happening. And then you have and there's just no kinder way to put it, the gutless leadership of our senior officials in the United States know it. They're aware of it. They have been told in classified reports, and then they continued to lie to you, like the Secretary of State Blinken did on that clip I just showed, that nope, none of that's going on. And we care about international law, and we care about American law, whether it's the Leahy law or all kinds of other things, lies, because he knows the truth. I showed you last month, even if he didn't know before, he sure did a month ago. And then now here he's still saying the same thing, given this Band-Aid cover that we care about international law, that we care about human rights and all this. There's no truth to it. And look, it works for some people in the United States, but I assure you, outside of here, it's not working anywhere else. It's not working. Even LBC in London, now they're starting to give coverage to it. MSNBC here, people are starting to say, hang on, this is just a little too much here. And it's time for us to go a lot more than just, hey, it's too much, especially when we're literally on the threshold of Iran launching Israel launching a strike against Iran that could explode the whole region. I mean, there's so many negative possibilities that come out of that. And then it'll be just damn near well impossible to stop the wheels once that goes in. And I think that Israel knows that. And I think that's why we can expect. And I thought it might already have happened here, but they probably have some reason why it happened. I don't know, but I do know that it is imminent. And because Israel has put their credibility on the line, I don't see any chance that they're going to back it off unless the U.S. finally finds its core of its what was once its values, and finds just the least amount of courage to stand up and say, we're going to do the right thing. Now, listen, I'm not naive. I'm not stupid. I know there's an election coming up in about a month from now, maybe a little bit less than a month. Yeah, it is. It's less than a month now, just a matter of weeks. And I know that that's so important to so many people. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care how painful it could be if the current administration loses the election. We have to do the right thing at some point. We have to say, damn the election. I don't care the results of that. We are America, our country. No matter who wins the election, we're all stained by this if we keep going down the path. And I don't see anybody of either party, by the way, standing up and say this is what we ought to do, which is another problem, because it almost doesn't matter who wins this election. It's an American problem and something we all need to fix. And as you're listening to this, and as other people are watching NBC or LBC or any of these other places that have this, any of these other great channels out there like ours that talk about the truth, spread this information around. Tag it on people on their social media, whether it's Telegram, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Anything you can. Get this out there so more and more people know the truth, and to know that we are heading in a dark place, not just militarily, but morally. If you lose your moral foundation, if it becomes just background noise when children are targeted with high precision sniper rifles as a matter of policy, when whole populations are being starved in the hopes that they can get them out, that they continue to have all these wars going on against the most vulnerable people that had no power at all. If we keep saying that that's okay to us, then folks, just humanity being what it is, and the sands of time doing what they do, one day we may find ourselves in that position. And there won't be anyone who has the least bit of sympathy for us. And even if that doesn't happen, is this who we want to be? It's definitely not who I want to be. It's definitely not who I am. And I will never be that kind of person. And I know that a lot of you watching here feel the same way. We should feel outrage at this and say that it's not just enough is enough. That was many months ago that enough was enough. It is way more than that right now. It is an urgent need that we have to get the word out by whatever means you can. Look, I know that we're not a global media conglomerate that has, millions of reach, but we do what we can. And I'm asking you, do what you can. Let's get the word out there, folks. Let's make sure everybody knows the reality of what's going on, and let's stop this madness and stop kids getting shot with a damn sniper rifle. It's time to end this barbarity and end our complicity in it, both in the military and in the diplomatic scenes. It's time to stop being a part of the problem. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate this. This is not our normal fare, but something I found and believed was of profound importance today. So I thank you for watching, and we'll look forward. We're going to have some great shows again next week. We got a lot of great people coming in, and anything that happens on this Israel situation, especially if they launch into Iran, you can count on us right here covering it and bringing you up to date on exactly what's happening. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next episode of Daniel Davis Deep Dive.